This is the first live demo of AdSignl, which is a tool that you guys have been building internally to pretty much analyze massive amounts of data across millions of dollars in spend on dozens of different accounts and be able to help you make ops decisions, build creative briefs. It's basically pulling together a bunch of AI tools into one to help you make decisions in accounts.
What this was designed for is a creative analysis tool that's deeper than just here's your click-through rate and here's your hook rate and here's your drop-off. Basically, I needed hard edits that we can give designers, that we can give video editors, that we could give creative teams that are, hey, this is what's working, this is why, and this is what you should edit next. But yeah, it's great. We love it. I call it AdSignl because it's really the whole point is to get the signal through the noise. As any good media buyer knows, with creative volume becoming such an important factor of good performance, you need to have systems in place to be able to analyze that volume. Otherwise, it's how are the insights getting back to the team that actually makes that content? Where can you optimize that iterative loop? Because that has hands down been one of I think the most annoying things for brands that I've heard for years now is, hey, how do we get the feedback from the media buyer back to the maker, back to the video editor? And what can we do to streamline that process? So this is just one of many things we're trying to do to speed that up. It's more evolved into like a central corpus for every account that we're on, where we've started to integrate Google, we've integrated MTAs, we've integrated GA4, we're about to integrate Shopify, and it's just this central place where all the data lives, and there's just all sorts of fun stuff we can do. But just try to make the UX more like an LLM that you can just chat to, but essentially chat with your data. And there's a lot of tools out there that do this, that allow you to hook up things and then chat with it and stuff. Those are great, but one of the things that really I needed in our agency was I need a contextual layer that actually tells the model like what's important, what's not important, has a knowledge base that we're referencing various MCPs. Like I needed an intelligence layer on top of that data. And then also, if you're using an MTA as a source of truth, that data actually needs to be part of your conversation. Otherwise, candidly, it's irrelevant, or you're very limited on how deep you can go. And a lot of the tools out there don't allow you to easily connect your source of truth. This is our lander. You can come here and sign up if you're watching this and apply. We're looking for 10 additional brands right now to take part in this and help us in the development process of it. But all right, so you'll see it opens up. I have a couple demo clients here. So we're going to jump into one of our brands that we work with, we've been working with for a while. And there's a number of things I could do here. I can just chat with it and ask things, just for instance, spend trends over the last 30 days. We're going to let that analyze. And while it's doing that, I'm going to show you another conversation that I recently had and its impact. You can see this brand, we have Meta, Google, and NorthBeam all hooked up. Ask it, what are some of the top keywords right now for newborn clothes? Because this is a newborn brand. And it pulls in Google's search planner and comes up with some volume leaders for me. And then based on what it knows about us and based on that context layer, but also our Facebook performance, this is in the back end. This isn't just asking Claude, what's the top newborn clothes right now? This is actually referencing the custom knowledge base and MCP that we built in that like intelligent client later to find us opportunities. So these highlighted opportunities specifically with this brand, where we're not focusing on organic language, we're focusing on bamboo. And it's basically telling me like, hey, there's a huge opportunity to focus on organic cotton newborn clothes as well, because you're not currently indexing for it in the way that you should. So gives us these pretty rich insights here based on the account and hard data. And then I said, hey, can you recommend some meta ads based on this research? So it said, based on these keywords showing strong demand for organic newborn clothes, this is some of our angles here, hospital/coming home. And it's given us analysis on those ads. And it's shown us exactly like where to update some of those headlines and on which ads it thinks that's going to do well. That's going to show us some winners. This was really focusing on generic newborn clothes with its searches. It's saying, hey, test some of these headline variations in that. Very actionable insights here.
Yeah, so it operates like an LLM, but I guess the difference is you have the context layer of all of your accounts linked in, and you have your attribution layer. So you have NorthBeam, you have Meta UI, you have your GA4, like you have a bunch of different data layer inputs. And then you have the knowledge layer, which is, this is the relevance for this. And here's the metrics you want. Here's the metrics you should ignore. That way it doesn't hallucinate and give overly confident answers, like which it tends to do.
Exactly. Yep. And that's the key, is it's got like a context layer built on probably over $1 billion worth of revenue. But not only that, because we're small, like I built this for each client individually. So their context layer is really dialed in to exactly what's important for that client. with our own expertise built into this. So that's where it gets really incredible, is because we're able to have a context layer plus Claude plus the client data plus history, and I'll show some of the reports later. But I asked it, how's our Google catalog ads currently looking with this in mind? First, I had to talk about Facebook. I said, all right, and it gave me a pretty solid output here of search terms we're already winning some of our top products. And then really what's important is the gap here. Organic, like we first identified this organic piece, this element of the brand, not really honing into organic, but talking about bamboo mostly, and sharing some opportunities here that we could lean into. But what's great about it is it saves every report you run is saving that context into your knowledge base. So it's continuing to learn your brand and learn where your opportunities are. That's why I was also able to answer this question really quickly in regards to strategic opportunities. Now, that's the chat layer. What I really like about it is the depth of it on creative. Is I started building this primarily so we could get deep insights on creative and how it's performing. We have these pre-built analysis. Now, the prompts behind these are literally 30, 40, sometimes 50-page prompts in a vectorized database that's in depth. It's really honed in to focus on things that are important to the brand, but also important to the creative team and the media buyers. For here, for instance, I got a creative tool. We can look back 3 to 30 days, we'll say 7 days. Now, there's a full analysis, which is like basically a complete creative audit. If you want to just look at winners, you want to look at losers, you want to look at videos, you want to look at statics, we can look at all of that. But and then we can choose our attribution source of truth. If I want to say something like just focus on newborn ads, we can do that. We're going to run that creative analysis. And then while that's running, I'm actually going to show you what one of these looks like. Over here, we have, this is a full analysis that ran. It's going to pull just a quick summary of what worked and why. And then you can see this is about a 30-page report here. So that's actually been the hardest part, is it's too much data to action on. It's really good data as you drill into it, but it's a lot. So there's a kind of a refinement element here that we're building into it. But for just like a high level, what should I make and what's working? Where is it driving to? The top landing pages, the average ROAS, various things here. We can get into just hook analysis, for instance. So what happens is this is actually downloading the creative. It's not just the metrics or the metadata, it's the actual ad. Which is a lot of processing power, but it's getting the script, the images, the video, and it's running this analysis with the context layer over all of these things as a creative strategist. And it's allowing us to get very poignant outputs.
I think that piece is really important, the creative part, because a lot of these tools will look at the thumbnail of the video, or they'll look at the first frame, mid frame, last frame, and then assume what the context of the video is. But that's not what you're doing. You're downloading the video, you're analyzing it by keyframe, and then looking at that compared to the drop-off rate, which is the most important part for writing your creative briefs.
Exactly. So we're running this one right on L7. It's reading the metadata, but it's also downloading the creative, and it's pulling all of these ads, and then it's loading it through our context, is loading it through our knowledge base, and then it's sending it to Claude to do an analysis on it. And that's where it gets really fun, because we could go down the rabbit hole to ultimately getting reports that are very shareable for creative teams or the clients on top performing ads, creative angles. This is one that continually comes up for this brand, copy insights, personas. The other thing is, because it's customized for clients, so like these personas are not just invented by Claude. This is coming out of a spreadsheet with a lot of work that we've done over the years on persona development. So it's referencing a master sheet that we have for every single client that tracks everything from KPIs to contribution margin to monthly pacing. So for instance, if we were to use the budget or the spend analyzer here, this would pull data based on a sheet that we have, which is telling us what our target is that month, what percentage to target we are, and what we're either pacing over, under. A lot of obviously very helpful metrics. We've also got some other fancy reports in here for catalog intel, where you have a brand, they have maybe 5,000 products in the catalog. There's some opportunities there that maybe are being overlooked. So let's have it run an analysis on the catalog. Let's see if there's any opportunities in the catalog for us to cherry pick, or we want to look at post-click quality from GA4. Let's look at, and this is a huge gap that we're working to fix between brands right now, is like landing page analysis or click to lander analysis, where you're sending traffic to a lander, X amount number of ads are going to that lander, but which of those ads are inconsistent with the landing page experience, and finding that from a macro scale and being able to hone in on it and find that signal. Because maybe you have 100 ads that are all going to the same lander. Maybe 25% of those ads have an inconsistent message with that lander. You need to be able to find that quickly. And at the click of the button, we can hone in on that. And then we can drill in even further on post-click and find out what's happening, what's the engaged sessions, what's the bounce rate, what's some of the more granular metrics there. But if we want to do catalog analysis, we'll run that here. The spend analysis just finished. You can see it's pulling in all our targets from our config files, highlighting a gap, looking at a period comparison, showing where we're pacing, looking at spend distribution across different segments. And like I said, this is all customizable too. Like we could build this snapshot out as much as we really want. And then we just built in this knowledge base feature, which is allowing anyone from the team to send a link, right? So I'm coming across stuff on Instagram all the time. I'm like, oh, the team needs to see this. This is great context, or this is a competitor ad, or this is something that we should take into consideration for this account. I can Slack a link. I can basically copy that link, put it into Slack, send a message to the agent, and that agent is going to analyze the post, organize it, and put it in our vector database and save it in that knowledge base for the client or on our analysis. So we're able to continually improve the knowledge base as well. So you'll see this here is running comment analysis right now, which is basically going to look at some of the top ads, some of the top comments, and pull some sentiment for us.
The theme here is that data is the context layer, and you have so much data and you're pulling information from brands, like all their customer personas, and then you've broken it up into key tools that I think a lot of people wouldn't even think to look for. Post-click attribution on Google. It's something that you wouldn't think about, but when you see it in this dashboard and you've built components that allow you to pull like very granular, very specific things inside of each account, and the fact that it's linked to Google Sheets, which means every single account in here is customized. This is not a $29 ChatGPT subscription. This is like linking so much data and so much context inside of every single brand.
Exactly. And so like a good example here is at the bottom of our reports comes this standard ad by ad analysis. This is probably the most potent data. But for this brand, there's certain KPIs for each brand that are more important than others, right? If your brand's on a MER model and you're looking at ROAS, that's one thing. If you're looking at CAC, that's another thing. New customer percentage is a huge KPI, or new visit percentage and CPMR. So we're pulling in, this is literally customized by the brand that we're working on. And that's where the config file and the knowledge base comes into play. Let's take in the statics, and this is our gold standard for newborn product statics. Creative simple, toddler boy sitting in a neutral rug wearing navy seersucker swim trunks. Like this is one of our best ads. I already know that. Another interesting one, this colorable one. This is the only colorable pajamas ad that scaled in the last 50, scaled past 50K. Two kids sitting on the bed coloring blank pajamas. Opens with the girl coloring her pajamas. This is a hook retention, 25 seconds for 50 seconds. Lower than the emotional ads, but high for product demo. Audience fit, grabbing mostly new customers here, which is exactly what we want to see. And then landing page match drives colorable collection. Strong match landing page reinforces the DIY creativity angle. And then replication, shoot a version with a mom coloring the pajamas with her kids. Yeah, I like that. Put the mom in the shot because she's actually making the purchase. So I'll send this back to the creative team and say, hey, we need a version that's mom coloring on the pajamas with the kid. Make the mom this demo, this persona, and let's give it a jam and see if we can get another one that'll scale.
That's so much better than just looking at the performance of an individual asset. Looking at your new customer percentage, your CAC versus your ROAS, how the spend scales in one creative versus the other. You would not get that if you just mass dumped your spreadsheets into Claude and said, write me creative briefs, because it's not even close.
Exactly. That's the thing. It's all about the context layer. I love how it's the open world right now with these AI tools and letting Claude analyze your stuff. I think that's great. I built this just for our own team to be able to get a deeper analysis on things. Something that's been difficult is pulling comments out of Meta or out of Facebook and Instagram and getting sentiment analysis on that. And so we built a comment analysis tool that will quickly just pick up patterns across that. Something that consistently comes with this brand is strong emotional resonance. It's going to pick up customers discover products are sold out. That's really interesting. Can't find the print they just saw, encounter broken checkout flows or receive incomplete late orders. So basically the ad's doing well, but that post-click experience is something I need to double click on and look into here. Stuff that the team would want to know.
So you take the comments and the top questions or concerns, and then you can just turn them into a hook.
Throw this into the ad set and you think of like Andromeda, right? It's all about sequential stuff. So if I have an ad in there that's getting a lot of comments about this specific thing, I'm going to put another ad in there that's objecting those comments. And what Andromeda and Meta new modeling is going to do is going to sequence those ads in a way that's going to use this ad that's coming against those objections in the comments as a rebuttal, because its whole purpose is to sell that user and create a user journey around them. The more content I can pack into that ad set that's overcoming objections, that's speaking to different layers of the buyer journey. So this has helped me identify a gap that's in that ad set that I could throw in there and help the tide of that entire set.
I think so interesting here is that you built this as an internal tool first. This and the amount of data that you guys take in and the amount of creatives that you deploy per week, I think would send most media buyers back in their seat. But this is an internal tool first for you guys to analyze, build briefs, deploy creatives, and then go back to the analysis loop.
Yeah. So here's one of my favorite parts on this is the catalog intel, because there's a huge gap right now. But there always is. And catalog, as we know, is where agentic commerce is going. Google's already gone there. So catalog insights is incredibly important. What I like is cross catalog intel, meaning like something's doing well on catalog, but it's not getting support on DR ads. So we built this analysis to really look at that specifically and find ads that have a high ROAS propensity, that they're likely to do well based on early signals and leading indicators. So here's one: steel blue, ribbed bamboo, baby knockout, and hat. It's got a lot of DPA, spent a lot of clicks, more than any other product. It's a favorite here, but it's not getting any DR spend. So basically saying, hey, take this out, go do a UGC style content showing the gown and hat in use. Like super simple. But before, you need to go dive into your catalog analytics and really data mine this yourself. And this is already pre-built in with all the right KPIs, everything we're looking for. Hey, here's one, go take this. So I can shoot this to the creative team, shoot this to our team, just all these different products that are listed. And this is looking at Meta's catalog. What's great is we can do the same analysis against Google's shopping catalog. And that's where it gets really fun, because you're like, Google might favor something, but Meta has no visibility on that. And that cross-channel attribution is so important, in my opinion, to be able to that, not narrative, but create that ecosystem around a customer where they're not just seeing you from one single dimension, but they're seeing you on Google and they're seeing you on Facebook, and then they get the CTV ad, and you're creating that environment around them that's going to drive sales. It's one of those things that's overlooked, and it's going to be the most important aspect of marketing, I think, in the next 2 years, where I think a lot of your ads are actually going to live inside the catalog itself. As well, we built change history. So if you have buyers on the account and you just want to see who's doing what, how it affected things, you can click into there. If you want to snipe into just a few ads, you can click into here and paste the actual names in.
What a time saver.
Exactly.
And this is free. You're making this available.
Yeah, we're letting a select number of brands in right now, just because we want to find partners that are interested in not only just using it, but helping us build it. I don't know if I'm going to productize this and make it available. We might, but right now, the more collaborators we can have on it, so to say, more brands that are in our ICP that are using it, I think it helps us all around, because we need feedback outside of our own agency and outside of our clients. And we also want to make something that's really cool and can support other brands that do what we do.
Yeah, and it benefits everybody, right? If you can get your data in there, you're going to benefit from all these reports, and then you have visibility to build new features. So that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
I think that this is ultimately the future of really strong service-based businesses. These internal tools that are proprietary, that nobody else has access to, that unlock a whole set of metrics. And you can see all the things that you missed before, because you're not just looking at a standard meta table full of data.
Exactly. I think that's the thing, is I didn't want to just make another dashboard or report. It's like the text-based insight, because what I do on a lot of this and what our team does is they'll go do an export of the 30-page creative analysis. They'll run it through Claude again and iterate on it, and then they'll refine that down. And I think that's a big piece that just in general in the AI space is refinement, and what that actually means, and how you create iterative data off of source material. And that iterative data is actually extremely important, because you can ultimately refine those insights into exactly what you need at that moment. A good example is I ran a query yesterday in an account that's skewing older. I said, hey, find me the top 15 ads that are resonating well with a demographic under 45 or female under 45 that aren't getting a lot of spend but have a high ROAS propensity. And now, granted, that question is very specific. It's got to know, okay, what do you mean by high ROAS propensity? That's where I built in the context layer to say, hey, high ROAS propensity actually means this and this. And it's going after this KPI for this client. It's not just, oh, it spent a lot and it has good ROAS. And okay, here's your ad. A lot of the analytics tools do. Like really customize to what we look for in that human level data analysis. So anyways, I asked it 15 ads, boom, printed them all. Gave me the NorthBeam ROAS, gave me the amount of spend that they've gotten, the percentage of delivery to that younger demo. Basically, I'm looking for ads that are like high ROAS propensity, low delivery to younger demo. And this is really good for accounts that have a lot of it. If you're spending under 50K a month, this probably isn't for you because you likely don't have the ad volume to support that. But if you've got a big account that is crunching through a lot of data and you have the ability to iterate and move fast and you need something to really help you find that signal through the noise, this is exactly what it's for. So that's why we build it. We work in a lot of large accounts, and being able to have a augmentation to our current data analysis processes has been a game changer.
It's so impressive, and it's fun to watch you build it out and just see all the things that you can do with it.